Hello, this is Roland. I want to read something to you from 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. But the natural man receives not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness to him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. You cannot find God in thinking. You cannot find God in the imagination. You cannot find God trying to figure things out. In fact, you can't find God trying to prove his existence. Okay? You can't find God in the intellect. Because God is a spirit. And your soul is a spirit. And you receive from God, okay, from God's light. God shines his light upon things. What you have in the intellect, in thinking and studying and analyzing and so on. All you could do there, for example, is to memorize something or to make a judgment. See, which is what we do all the time. But it's not very discerning. Okay? We judge. Oh, he's good, she's bad. I like this, I don't like that. This is nice, that's not nice. See? Well, the true religion or true spirituality is not of that. True religion or true spirituality is not of that sort of thing. For example, like I've always said, you do have an animal brain where you can figure things out and you can remember and you can plan your move. And there can even be cleverness, very clever, very cunning. See, even as animals are very clever. Foxes, crows, see, very clever. Even spiders are very clever. You watch animals and insects, they're very clever. But they cannot realize God. See, they can't realize the presence of God. Because religion is something of the Spirit. As Paul said, the things of God are spiritually discerned. So what you can do then, so then you say, well, how can I realize God? How can I understand things? How can I know what's true and what's not true? And how can I know which way to go with my life? And so on and so forth. Well, it's very simple. You just do what the Bible says. Those of you who are Christians, do what the Bible says. Okay? What does it say? It says, God says in the Old Testament, through his prophet, he says, be still and know that I am God. See, if you can become still and get out of thinking and sit quietly in the present, okay, and if you can resist the temptation to reach for your iPhone or reach for a magazine or reach for your MP3 or reach for some food or reach for anything, and if you can sit there without falling into the imagination, then you experience reality and you experience the present moment. And if you're lucky, you experience God. You sense his presence in stillness. See? But there's something about stillness. See, there's something about stillness that speaks of, or that indicates humbleness. See, the ambitious person. See, and what is it that ruined everything in the Garden of Eden? It was ambition. Adam had a weakness. The serpent found it, and through Eve, the serpent spoke through Eve, acted through Eve, and said the right kind of things that sparked or brought forth Adam's secret ambition. See, the ambition to be God, to know things through knowledge, through analyzing through thinking and memorizing and figuring out and planning and scheming, and through words, lofty words, to know things and to lord it over other people and to do it all on your own without God. That was ambition. Well, we inherit some of that from Adam. And we're born with a fallen nature that reveals. See, we're born restless. And when you see things like impatience, okay, antsiness, eagerness, see, those actually are facets of, or extensions of, or varieties of ambition. See, if somebody makes a little mistake, can you resist judging them? Or can you resist correcting them? Or puffing up by seeing their mistake? See, when you're sitting still, can you just sit there quietly and enjoy the present moment, or do you have to reach for something? Are you anxious and nervous and want to reach for something? See, well, that's your lower nature, and that's also the weakness of your, you haven't learned spiritual discipline. Okay? And you don't submit to God. See, you are unwilling to submit to the truth and to His way. See, and that's why you escape. And when I say you, I mean most people in their fallen condition, unless you find salvation. See, if you're already on the path, you found salvation, or you're finding it, you're in the process of being saved, in the process of being perfected, then this doesn't apply to you, although you may still find some of that in you. So even as you're getting better, you still see in yourself something of that old nature that still remains to be corrected by God. So if you can sit still, okay, and not reach for something, that's a sort of a humbleness, isn't it? And humbleness, quietness, not being ambitious, that is the matching, see, attitude that will then draw the Spirit of God, see, and by which you can see in God's light and realize His presence. See, it's like the north and south pole of a magnet. If you get two north poles, they repel each other, don't they? They repel each other. But if you have a north and a south pole, then they attract each other. Well, God is the great ego of the universe. Okay? He has a right to be proud because He made everything. See? And everything He made is pretty cool. And He has a right to judge. So He's both king and judge. But your puny ego, when you want to be prideful, then the attitude of pride, see, which includes things like ambition, see, wanting knowledge, wanting to lord it over other people, making judgments, see, being angry at people, things like that. They're all part and parcel of pride. Well, then you repel. See, you're a little ego, and your little ego is not compatible with the Spirit. So you have to have a change of heart. That's what remember it talks about a change of heart, a change of mind, a change of attitude. See, from pride to humility. Well, I don't think you can humble yourself. I don't think you can do it. Some people try it. You know, back in the Middle Ages, they tried doing penance and, they tried different things. Although there are certain practices that facilitate humility or make it easier, and there are other practices that seem to go against humility. So, oddly enough, the very act of eating tends to make us prideful. Watch somebody when they eat. Watch how, first of all, how they disappear from the present. They get lost in their food. And then watch them as they eat or after they eat, how they kind of become a little bit arrogant. Okay? A little bit arrogant. Prideful. See? The act of rewarding themselves. See, most people, they can't eat just to eat. They eat to reward themselves, or they eat to escape. So they escape. They escape from the light of God. They escape into their hypnotic fixation, their little comfort zone of food, and then they become more prideful. See? And more foolish. People are more suggestible after a meal. That's why whenever somebody tries to sell somebody something or woo somebody, they take them out to lunch or to dinner. See, because after the dinner, then, see, one of the reasons why they're more suggestible is the simple fact that eating tends to make people that way. But if you can eat and hold on to awareness, see, that's what you need to learn how to do. To do everything in life, but hang on to some awareness. To hang on to awareness. So you eat, but don't lose yourself in the food. Okay? Read a little something, but read lightly. Don't lose yourself in it. You can hear music, well, maybe a little bit, not too much. Don't lose yourself in it. See? Talk to someone, but don't get lost in the conversation. So don't get lost in things. Don't use them to escape from reality. Stay in the present. Stay anchored in the present with some awareness. When you watch a movie, yeah, you watch the movie, but also be aware of yourself sitting there and aware of what's going on around you, so you're not totally lost in the movie. Hang on to that awareness, because remember I said that's where you are closer to God, closer to God's light, closer to intuition, closer to wordless guidance. See? They said that people like Abraham walked by faith. Okay? Well, that's because they hung on to their awareness. They weren't lost in their imagination like people are today. They hung on to their awareness because they wanted to be aware. Okay? And in that awareness, not lost in thinking, not lost in hypnosis, not lost in food or lost in reading or lost in study, then spiritual things can be spiritually discerned. Okay? So it's very important. And from that comes patience. And also comes understanding. See? Have you ever had a really good grandpa or a good grandma? You knew someone, perhaps usually older person, and they had understanding. You know, when you were a little kid, your mom was getting all upset. Oh, what a busy was that? And Grandpa was there. It's okay. See, he had understanding. Well, that's what you need. You need understanding, and you won't find it in think. Look what happens to you when you're lost in thought, which is where you are most of the time. So what happens when you're lost in thought? You worry. Is that good? No. You plan and scheme. Then you come up with some idea and you apply it and it never works out. The timing is off. There's no understanding. You talk to your kids, you think, well, I got to talk to my kid about this or that. So then you talk to them, you give a little pre-planned speech and it falls flat. You see their eyes glaze over or they rebel because your timing was wrong and you didn't have understanding. And why didn't you have understanding? Because you didn't look to the source of understanding. You looked to your intellect. See? You wanted to prove something or be great or figure it all out for yourself. And you didn't have faith. You didn't have faith because you didn't know that if you just sat quietly in God's presence. But why don't we want to sit quietly? Where the answers, real answers could come from. Real discernment, real wisdom, understanding, true success. See? Then you can have your cake and eat it too. You can make money or have a career, have some things, and enjoy them. Not get lost in them, but enjoy them because they come as an extension of having lived wisely. See, with gracefulness and with understanding and with wisdom that comes from God. And you would know that it came from God because you knew that whenever you do try to figure things out on yourself, you always mess everything up. So now you see that I'm not going to do that. So you resist the temptation to try to figure something out and try to speak pompously. And you just sit quietly, and then somehow you delicately see the way to go or the thing to say, or sometimes you don't even say anything. See, that's an even bigger blow to your massive ego. To not do anything and then have things work out without your big ego sticking its nose in and making something happen. You roll up your sleeves, see, and then do something so you can take a claim for it. But then also what goes along with taking claim for everything? Fear, worry, see. Then you begin to fear doing things because you always are, you see, because if it doesn't work out, then it's a big failure, see. So there are lessons, so there's so much to learn, but it's very simple. It begins with, what did I say? Be still. It says in the Bible, be still and know that I am God. Okay? Because from that stillness then can come a flurry of activity. From the stillness comes activity. See, some people think, well, if I just sit still and I don't do anything, then nothing's going to happen and I'm going to be lazy. And see, well, people might accuse you of being lazy because your timing is a little different. Instead of rushing eagerly, foolishly like everyone else does, well, instead of rushing eagerly and foolishly, you sit quietly and you kind of wait, you defer. But you're waiting for the wind of the Spirit to blow you. You're waiting to see what the right move is. Okay? Most people, they're angrily, excitedly, resentfully moving, rushing, and they burn themselves out. Meanwhile, you don't burn out. You sit quietly, you conserve your energy, perhaps conserve your money. And then a door opens and you go through. An opportunity is there, you take it. See? The right moment comes to say something, whereas before your big ego would have said something, would have been all wrong. Now there's a little opening and you say something, it just comes to you. You didn't pre-plan it. See? And it's the right thing. See? So you see that the activity. And then you get a lot more done with a lot less energy in less time. You get more done than you ever did before with rushing and huffing and puffing and your egotistical trying to make things happen. You see what I mean? Okay? So, what does it say in the Bible? Be still and know that I am God. Well, if you don't know how to be still, then I can show you how. That's what my meditation is for. See? And my easy meditation is free. Or the free meditation. I call it either the easy meditation or the free meditation. It's free. And it teaches you how to sit still. Okay? And then I have the regular classic meditation, which is, I think I ask a suggested donation of $10. But see, I never talk about it. That's why the last couple of videos I've actually mentioned it, because I really should. If you don't mention it, people don't know. And the nice thing about it is it includes 3 ebooks. Becoming a Friend of God, a brief introduction to stress management, and then also a Guide to True Peace Revisited. You get those in a booklet. See, you get a 4-part meditation where some of the commentary is very helpful. See, the 6-minute meditation, the easy meditation, is just a simple meditation, but that may be good enough. But I think then you should also get some supplementary materials. But the prize, the key, see, is not in the reading. Because then if you read my stuff, you'll just be reading. You just recognize what you're reading is true, or you'll sense that it's true, or you'll see something that you already knew, and I'm just confirming it. Or I'm confirming what you experience along the way as you begin the meditative path. See what I mean? Which is nice. It's nice. Because everyone else will try to make you doubt. If you're sitting quietly, they'll say, oh, you got to do something. What's the matter? You lazy? See? If everybody else is rushing for something, then they'll accuse you of not being with it, see? Or being unfriendly, or being cold, or There'll be something, or it'll be in your mind. In your mind, you'll be accused of all that. Remember, all your life, haven't they accused you of being lazy, of being no good for nothing, of being, not helpful, of being contrarian, of being oppositional, of being troublemaker, of being rebellious, see, of having some, or then they say you have this or that condition, or this or that syndrome, or see. They use all these different things on you to label you and to put you down, to keep you from finding freedom. Christ said to the Pharisees, the Pharisees are still around. They're still around. They're not all religious either. They're in different professions. The Pharisees, they're all book learning, but they have no discernment. The things of God are spiritually discerned. Okay? So they're foolishness to the natural person. So the natural person, the ego, see, is a sensuous person, is an earthy person, or perhaps an intellectual, but intellectual and earthy. See, intellectual and sensuous, they go together. Okay? But not spiritual. The spiritual person is the one that learns to sit quietly and wait upon the wind of the Spirit, wait upon God. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed today's little lecture, and I certainly did. And I hope to see you in my next lecture, Lord willing.